Hey guys, I'm Rit, and we are streaming blacksmithing. You know what? I need to push record on my center camera. I will be right with you guys. I'm sorry. I should have done that before I transitioned. I'm sorry about that. All right. So today we are here and we are, we're here. I'm just going to say that. We're here. So where we left off last Friday was my birthday stream, and I hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I had so much fun with you guys. I wanted to thank you for all of your birthday wishes and everything that all of your support and stuff during that stream. That was a pretty intense stream. Welcome in, Bluesy. Welcome in, Corwin. Thank you so much for joining me today. So yeah, Friday was a bit on the intense side. Just tending to the fire and paying attention to like what was going on with or I guess figuring out what was going on with the axe and stuff like that. It was just a little bit, a little bit intense. And then so on Saturday I did just about nothing, just resting and making sure that I was ready to go this weekend, or I guess on Monday. But I did actually do a little bit of work in the van. In the van, what happened was I finished insulating the inside, and we put together the bed frame for the bed in the camper section. Turns out the bed is a little bit too long, and so I'm gonna have to cut it apart. So that'll be fun because it's kind of an aluminum hybrid metal. It's not like something that I can just weld back together once I put it or pull it apart. I kind of am gonna have to drill some new holes and use some like straight bracket braces to kind of see if I can't put it back together and make it strong enough to function. So it looks like we are about to get an ad. Once the ad's done, I'll kind of tell you guys what's going on today for today's stream. I did a little bit of modifications to the axe, so we're not quite where we were or where we ended on Friday, but we're really close. So once the ads are done, I'll kind of talk to you guys about what I did, what I'm intending to do today, and what my plan going forward is with that. Bed surgery sounds like fun. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. So when we bought this bed frame, we thought that it was going to be 68 inches long, and it turns out it was 74 inches long. And from one side to the other side of the van is 70 inches. So we need to take off a few inches to kind of give ourselves a little bit of play. I think we're going to end up taking off 6 inches. And that way we have about an inch play on either side. And it's going to make it a lot easier to get it in and out and stuff like that. So like I said, we're gonna use straight brackets to put it back together with like bolts and nuts, because it's gonna be ridiculously hard to weld it. If it was like straight steel, it'd be so easy, but it has to be like some cheapo aluminum hybrid. So I don't know. Everything's got to, take a little bit of problem solving. And I mean, I love that about metalworking in general and just everything that we do here at Ray's Smithy. So I don't know. I'm still having fun with it, but it was a little bit intense, walking around in a squat while I was putting the insulation in. So we had the driver's side wall all done. So yesterday we did the passenger side wall and the roof with insulation. So that is what we did. Could a regular steel bed frame be modified to work? Yes, it could. And we just bought one of the cheapo ones from Amazon because we just weren't sure what we wanted. And that's why it's gonna take a little bit more effort for me to put it back together. If we had just gotten like a straight steel bed frame, it like what we used for the edges to the coal forge, it would have just been so easy to weld that thing or cut it apart and weld it back together. But like I said, we're trying to do this on the cheap, so we bought a cheapo Amazon bed frame, and it's not steel, so not amazingly cool. So yeah, I think we're in the middle of ads right now, so I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer to talk about the axe. Or it could just have, like, ended. The ads ended. Yay! All right. So, as you guys left me on Friday, or I guess I left you on Friday, what we had was this weird U shape, and I needed to separate these two halves and kind of move them this way further. We had way too much space here, and these were too thick. Like the curves that I was putting in here were too thick for what we were doing, and they had started ripping. So what I did was I took this over to the bench grinder and I ground out all of the ripping, right? So you can kind of see where there's that shiny bit on here. That's where I ground out all of the ripping. Hopefully that means that it will stop ripping and we don't have to worry about that again. So I've left myself the end that I still want to do for the hammer. So I left myself a little bit of area right there, and I kind of just thin this out so it'll smash together a little bit easier and create a little bit more of a thin area for that handle. So today, my plan is to unfold this and kind of straighten these leaves out so that they are actually in line with where I have grounded this, like that angle. So these will be like a straight triangular shape. And then from there, I kind of want to thin this out a little bit so that we can get that nice, even, rounded, like, loop, I guess. That will also lengthen the axe blade a little bit. And so that is the goal. That's the plan and how I'm going to approach this. So we shall see if my dream-addled thoughts succeed or not. So yeah, last night I didn't get much sleep. My brain was just like percolating on how to fix this. So I spent most of my night just like dreaming about this axe. So we shall see if Dream Ray is smart enough to fix this, or if I have to come up with more problem solving. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to fire up the forge and start heating this up. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about, what's going on. There we go. I have no idea how much propane is in this tank. But it's all good because I bought a new tank today. So we are definitely covered. Alright. Where did I put my tongs? Let's grab these out. I guess they're going to be a little bit weird, but that's alright. I'll just hold it like so, pull it out, and then grab it like this, I hope. If these are, thick enough. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, come on. Jeez Louise. One of these days, guys. One of these days. There we go. Alright, so we are going to heat up that piece of steel, and while that piece of steel is heating, there are a few other things I want to talk about. Because we were using the coal forge and getting a really intense heat on Friday, we are going to see a lot more scale forming today on this piece, especially in the beginning. I'm hoping that we can just pop it off by hammering it, maybe using a brush. I just don't want it to jump, and I do see that happening. So we'll try and avoid that as much as possible. So yeah, today was kind of intense too. I did a lot of grinding today. I also went and got some propane, and those, I mean, propane's not too heavy. It's not too much effort, but it's just, I'm still a little tired today. So I think I have enough energy to, maintain the whole 2.5 hour stream time. But if we start getting close to that and I start getting too tired, I probably will end the stream a little bit on the early side. My goal, though, is to fix my errors, kind of figure out how to work it a little bit easier, or I guess work the steel in the way that I want it to go. And then I will, or if I am able to do that within the stream, we will end there as well. Like I said, I will not be able to do any forge welding this week, so we'll have to do that this weekend. If I'm able to fix it and get it all ready for forge welding, and that's all I have left to do, we will start moving on to the next project. I will edit a video of me forge welding the bit inside this axe, and we can do a watch along so you guys can see that too. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I figure we'll probably be a little bit low on the viewer count today. I kind of feel like we had a couple really, really high attended streams, and so I'm expecting some low attendance today. Maybe it's not expectations, maybe it's I hope, because I mean, I don't know that I can, I don't know that I have the high energy that I normally try and, muster for today. So we'll see. So if I can get this fixed, we will be starting a hot cut for our hardy hole, and that's going to be our next project after this axe. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece of this chunk of steel right here. This is A2. It is an air quench tool steel. It's very, very hard. It's often used for like jackhammer bits and things that are like really, really need to be hard and strong for high intense tool usage. So I think what we're going to do is chop off a bit of that, and we will use that as or for our hot cut. The detriments on that one, though, is that it is very hard to work. So it's going to take a lot of effort. We're going to use the press primarily, except for when we are hammering it into, or fitting it into the hardy hole itself. We will need to do that on the anvil just to make sure that it fits real nice and snug, so it's not wobbling all over the place. And we've got a nice lip on that so it doesn't fall all the way through. Once we get that taken care of, we will start making some nails. I'm really excited to make nails for you guys. It's a project that you guys have been asking for since the very beginning of the stream. So I think that's gonna be, I think that's gonna be a fun project. I want to replace every single nail here on the wall of the project. And my partner totally says that I should just like hammer one of my first handmade nail right into the wall as one of the projects. So I don't know, maybe we'll do that too. Tired Ray is still a good, worthwhile stream. Well, thank you for that. Like I said, I think I have the energy to keep on keeping on today, and I just may not be quite as animated as I normally am. But yeah, it should be good. It has also been a little bit strange because I have a list of projects and videos that I want to do for YouTube between now and the SOFA conference, and that kind of got a little bit interrupted because I was planning on having all of the forge welding done and just be ready to grind the axe into shape this weekend, but I wasn't able to do that, so I have to push back the axe video and come up with a new video to put in that time slot. So that's going to be interesting. I'm thinking that we might do a shop tour. You guys have seen this side of the shop. You guys have seen the shop behind the cameras. But I feel like it's a little bit disorienting because when I do behind the cameras, I tend to do a 90-degree angle from. So it's not a true 180 degree when I work behind the cameras for like grinding and cutting and things like that. So it's a little bit weird when you're, thinking about putting the shop together. So I want to give you guys like a tour so you can kind of see the orientation of the shop and where everything lives. So I've got a little bit of cleaning that I want to do before I do that. There's also a couple places that I want to put things in the cold shop because I want to include that in the shop tour as well. So we shall see, if I can make that happen. If I can't make it happen in time, because I will eventually do a shop tour, we will probably do like a montage of making all of the smithy for that video slot. I think I can make that happen. When I did the Raised Smithy video, I primarily focused on the LED sign, and I never really did like a good video on the Smithy letters, so we might do something like that too. So, like I said, I'm a little bit tired, and I started getting ready for the stream a little bit on the late side. So, I don't actually have my full like jug of water out here today. So all I have is this glass of water, and then I brought myself out a Gatorade. So if we run through both the water and the Gatorade, I guess I'll just grab another Gatorade out of the fridge. I just did not have the wherewithal to fill it, I guess. I don't know. So it should be a fun stream regardless. Just a little more low key. It's always crazy, like resetting up the shop anytime I like change location, because the settings for the cameras are like completely different when we go on location and when we go out into the carport. So that kind of like killed a little bit of my time as well. So I didn't really have time to fill my water thing. If I decide that I need it, I will just go in the house and fill it at the glass again. It is super cool out today. We haven't really hit the 80s in a couple of days, so that is really exciting. I just, I'm glad that I'm not, going to be sweating my socks off today. So that's really exciting. We did a lot of filming yesterday within the van, and so we'll have that for you guys to watch here shortly. Let's see if I can't Yeah, close those a little bit easier. Or maybe not. I don't know. Tighten them up a little bit. Not too tight, but... Or I could, like, completely bend them. That's also great. Alright, cool. Alright, maybe I shouldn't have turned this in here. What is happening? There we go. There we go. We'll be ready in just a moment with that heat. Let's see if I can. There we go. That's better. There we go. Let's see. What else did I want to tell you guys? So I went for my birthday yesterday out to lunch to the Chinese buffet with my mother-in-law. So that was definitely a thing. It's actually relatively pleasant. I mean, I know a lot of people they're like, you know, they don't like their in-laws. Mine aren't too terribly bad. So it was kind of cool. We sat and talked for a while. It's always nice to get together with family, and so it was pretty pleasant. We actually share the same birthday, so it's kind of funny, you know. She decided that we should celebrate my birthday and less her birthday. So, you know, because I'm younger and, you know, I have more birthdays, or I've had less birthdays, I guess. So that was fun. And the food was amazing, too. There's this Chinese buffet that is in town, and it's called Ginger. So they have like a Mongolian grill and, you know, the full buffet. They've got sushi and everything. It's really cool. What's your favorite Chinese entree? My favorite Chinese entree is actually Mongolian beef. And if I can have it freshly made in front of me, you know, at like the Mongolian grill, so much the better. I really like Mongolian, like the sauces, and Mongolian beef is kind of my favorite. When I was in college, like when I was early in college, I used to work at a grocery store called Hy-Vee, and they actually have like this deli area where you can go and like buy like dinner there, I guess. And the Chinese, or they have like a Chinese area, and I really enjoyed that Mongolian beef. It was really sweet and savory at the same time. It's just, I can't really describe it. It's just sweet but savory. I don't know, like a teriyaki sauce, but a sweet teriyaki. It was so good. We have Hy-Vees all over. Their Chinese is decent. Yeah, the guy that worked there while I used to work there, made his Chinese differently than like the standard Hy-Vee Chinese like menu. So it was authentic, or more authentic Chinese, and so it was just, it tastes different, and like I just can't get it anymore, like the way he made it. Even at the same Hy-Vee that I worked at when I go home to visit my parents. So, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, you know, things just aren't the same when you grow up. I also love like General Tso's chicken and like pepper chicken, pepper beef. There's a lot of really good pork dishes out there that I really enjoy eating as well. Chinese is awesome though. Yeah, a lot of them have differences in their dishes depending on the cooks there. Yeah, and I think that's partially because really what they do is they just give you like the ingredients that you need in the Chinese area. Like most of the stuff in the home cooked meal section of Hy-Vee, it's a lot of it is the same recipes that we all emulate and just make the same recipes. But the Chinese, they just give you all of the ingredients and kind of say go at it. So you do get a lot of variance with the Chinese. Less so with like the salads and things. Most of the salads at Hy-Vee, they come like the ingredients come pre-packaged, and you kind of just like mix them together. So it's good. I loved working there. I tend to judge restaurants on their General Tso's chicken. I can see that. There is a lot of room for variance in General Tso's. And you gotta get that sweet and spice just right, or it just doesn't taste right. That and like, the chicken in the coating can't be, it's gotta be nice and crisp. It can't be like too squishy, you know? So that's a really good judge for how good people are at their Chinese. I think for me, I judge a Chinese restaurant based on their Mongolian beef because I mean everyone has Mongolian beef, and there are a lot of wide variances in it. And I think partially the reason that I choose the Mongolian beef is my partner is actually allergic to chicken, which is a really weird allergy to have, but it's kind of like lactose intolerance, which I have. I can't process lactose. Well, my partner cannot process tryptophan, which is that chemical that's in turkey. So when you eat a lot of turkey at Thanksgiving, or equivalent holidays when you just eat a lot of turkey, and it makes you sleepy. That is a chemical that is in all bird meat, and my partner can't process it, so it's really weird. We eat a lot of beef, we eat a lot of pork, but we don't. I only get to eat chicken when we're at a restaurant. That's a sad combination of allergies. Yes, it is. I can't do milk and dairy, and they can't do birds. They don't even like eggs. I think it's more like afraid or fear. They don't eat a lot of eggs, at least not straight eggs. I mean, bread has eggs in it and things like that, and they'll eat that kind of stuff like bread, the stuff that eggs are in, but never like eggs straight. It's got to have something else with it. So yeah, we kind of have a relatively stable palate of like what we can and can't eat. I'm going to attempt to flip this piece again. We'll see how well I do this time. Maybe I won't do so high. Let's try these. These might work. Hey, that worked a lot better than in previous attempts. There we go. So I'll put these over here in case I need to use them again. Let's see. We also eat a lot of Mexican food. And I don't know why, but Mexican food and Chinese food always seem very similar to me. And not really because, when you go to a restaurant or eat authentic Mexican and Chinese food, it's like supposed to be the same or anything like that. I think really it's because when we make Mexican and Chinese at home, we have a tendency to put very similar spice profiles in it. So I guess I just like associate the two of them together just because the spice profile when we make them is so similar. We make a lot of fajita type dishes, and we like to put teriyaki in our fajitas and like a Chinese like barbecue sauce. So it's kind of like a Mexican Chinese fusion kind of thing. I really like it a lot. So it looks like we are going to get another ad going here shortly. Once that ad is done, I think we should be able to start unfolding this piece of steel. We should be able to get going pretty quick here. It is so much better when I'm streaming and hosting when I'm using the gas forge as opposed to the coal forge. I am not nearly as worried about decarburizing my steel and melting it and things like that. I really think that on Friday I didn't actually allow my metal to heat all the way through, and I think that is part of the reason why I had such a weird Friday and so many mishaps. So I think that today it should be fine. I should be able to correct everything, and then we can try it again, or try the forge weld again this weekend. So, like I said, once this ad is complete, I will do our first heat. And for this first heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put or try and open up the steel a little bit more. We've kind of got like a round area. I want to turn it more into a U shape. And then we'll be able to kind of thin out those leaves a little bit further toward the back end of it. And then from there, I should be able to make this work. Fingers crossed and all that. Welcome in, Ping. Greetings. Today is a little bit more low key on a stream. Friday's stream was pretty intense, and I'm still a little bit tired from that. So I am going to try very hard, to get this stream going. So yesterday, while we were working on the van, we tried to put on some rain guards on the windows. So like there are these like little plastic things that kind of prevent rain from going into the windows when you open them when it's raining. So you can kind of vent your vehicle, or get a little bit of airflow going even when it's raining. And so when we tried to put them on, it turns out that they weren't actually the right size. So we didn't get to install those. It should have been really easy. It's like you peel, or like they're sticky on there, and you peel it off and you just stick it on the van, but it just was not the right size. So we've got to kind of reorder those. So yeah. Got a couple other things we need to reorder as well. Or maybe not reorder, but we still have a few things that we still need to get for the van. I'm hoping that we can get everything that we need before the SOFA conference on, well, I think it's actually about a month from now. Like almost exactly a month from now. So we've got a little bit of time to get things, and we've got Amazon Prime, so we've got a few. We've got the short shipping or free shipping, so we should get it all taken care of as long as we have the time to install everything. Ooh. Our steel is getting nice and hot, so once these ads are done, we will definitely be ready to take a look at it. I think what I'm going to do is I might actually use these tongs, and we'll see if I can grab a hold of them. I think I might grab a couple other sets of tongs just to be on the safe side. So we'll grab these tongs and these tongs, and those tongs are over there. Maybe I'll put these over here too. That way they're readily available, but they're not gonna jump off of the anvil as I hammer. So I actually had a blast on Friday. I had so much fun working with the Coal Forge and interacting with you guys. I kind of feel like I didn't get to like actually give you guys as much attention as I wanted to. So if you guys have any questions about what was going on Friday or anything like that, let me know. I am more than happy to answer any questions you have. All right. It looks like the ad is done. So I'm going to hit record on the close-up, and then we're going to do our proceed. Okay. Or I could just drop it all over the floor. That's also great. Maybe I will grab this like so. And then I want to do this. Might work. I don't know. Wow. Well, that didn't do much. That didn't do much at all. Alright, well, I'm going to heat this back up again. I'm going to heat it this direction so that maybe we can get a little bit more heat. Goodness gracious. I'm doing exactly the same thing that I did on Friday. I will get this eventually, I promise. So, I did actually have a question for you guys from Friday. What did you guys think about the camera switching? I noticed that I had my partner switching the cameras just because I had a lot of other things that were going on and I had to keep track of. So did my partner do a good job, or or do I need to teach them how to use OBS and the capture card a little bit better? I'm going to turn on the fan. It's starting to get a little bit warm. Maybe we'll lower the speed just a little bit. I don't need it to be like way intense, but I just need a little bit of it. So yeah, if you guys have any comments on like the camera direction, let me know. I wasn't sure. I mean, I think that when I was looking through the VOD, there's a lot of the fire, and do you guys like that? Do I need to face the close-up camera towards the fire more? Let me turn up the fire a little bit. It's going to take me a little bit, or I guess it's going to take a little bit for the forge to get really, really hot. I wanted to show you guys what the piece of steel looked like before I stuck it in the fire. I probably, like, if I had been looking for really quick fire, I probably would have started it before I started the stream. So how was you guys' weekend? Like I told you guys about my weekend, it was a little on the intense side. How about you guys? Did you guys have anything, or did you guys do anything fun or anything like that? Anything hard? And for those of you on YouTube, you guys can also let me know how your weekend was in the comments. Ooh, a little bit longer. I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer so that I've got plenty of heat. I really want to open up this piece of steel so that we can get that V-ish, or like a more of a U shape, and then we're going to go V so we can kind of thin out those leaves and get more length. So this weekend I went to use my new hammer, and I don't know what happened to it, but a bunch of surface rust showed up on the face of it. So I'm gonna have to regress it one more time, see if I can't clean that up a little bit. I think what happened is that I think there was a little bit of water that got dropped on it. I'm not entirely sure how either. Ping got a 16-foot beam to put up a bat house. A tree was removed last winter, and they have been roosting in my house all summer. Ooh, that's not cool. Or was it, you said on, not in? As long as they're not in your house, because that can be a giant disaster, you know, because bats are very messy animals. So I'm sure they'll like the bat house, though. Bats really enjoy bat houses. And you can fit a lot of bats in a bat house. Alright, I'm going to do another heat. Or I'm going to hook my leg on the horn. That's always welcome, too. This does not want to open. Not at all. Alright, we're going to heat this up. We've got a little bit of opening, but it's going to take some time, I think. It's been awesome, but I want to give them a home before winter. Yeah. So they haven't been in the house. That's good. Bats are adorable, but they're not very good. They're not very good with humans unless they've really been socialized. But they are really majestic, and they can be really adorable. I used to go to like this park, and they occasionally they would have like a ranger there that would bring some of the local wildlife, and one of the animals that they brought were bats, and they were like yay big, and they were little furry things, and they were adorable. I always wanted to pet them, but the ranger doesn't let you pet them because, you know, too many kids, too many intense hands. So I never got to pet the bat, but I've always wanted to pet one. No, they use a cove of trees for feeding, so they are very happy in my yard. Awesome. Yeah, so around here we do have a lot of bats, and in some of the more, like in some of the state parks, they ask for uh, the the Boy Scouts to make bat houses for them so that the bats have a place to go. Because a lot of times when the bats around here, they like to nest in the eaves of like the bathrooms and like the buildings and stuff. And then when they get disturbed by people, that's not cool. So there are like I feel like a lot of Boy Scouts like to do their Eagle Scout project on like or with like benches and things like that. But bat houses would be really good for that. Lucy says bats are lovely. I have a colony in one of my rickety barns. The only problem is the poo. Yes, that is the big issue with bats, unfortunately. They are amazing in that they eat all of the nasty insects. So like the mosquitoes and like some of the nasty like the aphids and the things that like eat plants and stuff. Um, the pests, but they do. It's really hard to clean up their poop, and so having a proper house for them that is designed for that purpose is always better than just allowing them to nest wherever. Welcome in, Trinidix. FYI, you may fascinate a woman by giving her a palm-sized bat. Well, you'd definitely fascinate me if you gave me a palm-sized bat. Like I said, I would love to pet a bat. They're just so adorable, and they just like kind of hang upside down. Ooh, they're so cute. Their little pug noses. Cheap viewers. Cheap viewers. Thanks, Ping, for banning the bot. We don't need cheap viewers. We've got you guys. You guys are, you guys are free, right? But yeah, I have always had this weird fascination with bats. So when I used to watch the Sesame Street, they the Count Dracula had the backup singing bats, and I always tried to make them like cut them out of paper and make little puppets of the bats, and that was my favorite thing to do. Well, I run my small poo pusher through the barn a few times a year, and the guano gets used in my manure. Oh, so does it make good fertilizer? I imagine that most of the barn manure would go into fertilizing, like your plants and things like that. Is the bat guano good for that, or is it just neutral? It doesn't do anything. All right, we're gonna do another heat. Let's see if I can't make this happen. I don't know if I can or not, but we'll see. All right, we're separating it a little bit. That's good. Look at that. That's much more separated. So that makes me happy. I should be able to use that gap. You could also kind of see all of that scale that was falling down. I never saw a bat up close until a couple of years ago. Thought it was an injured bird at first before realizing it was a bat. It's a bit too strong. That's why I add other manure and bits of strong. Guano is sick and will burn most plants. Interesting. I would never have guessed. My fascination began at the Carlsbad Caverns, watching the bats leave to go hunting. Thousands of them. It was amazing. Yeah, I've seen like hordes of bats. Like you see the big hordes of those around dusk. You know, when they're like leaving their caves or their perches to go hunt for the night. And it is an amazing sight to see. I saw it one time when I was camping as a kid. I went to I'm this rock climbing place. I don't even remember where it was. I was pretty young at the time. I think I was like 11 or 12, and they were absolutely gorgeous. Like just the cloud of bats flying out of the cavern. I wish there were more bats around here to eat all of the mosquitoes. I know, right? Psych is in itself just different language. My bad. That's the problem if you know a few languages. Oh, okay. I thought it was a typo, but when you do know, I should have known better. You guys don't do that many typos. But it's good to know lots and lots of languages, even if you do mix them up, because the more languages and cultures you know, it's like the more people you can talk to. I wish I knew more than one language. I used to know a little bit of Spanish. I took it in college, but I only took 2 semesters, and I didn't really have anybody to speak it to. It's so much easier to learn a language when you have people to immerse yourself in the language with. So I just kind of learned. I spoke it in the class, but I didn't have anybody else to practice with. Yeah, it was on a family vacation when I was a kid. Yeah. I can only manage in 16, of which I know 3 fairly fluently. Oh, wow. Polyglot. So many languages. Like I said, I only know 1. And it's my original native language. And it's like, I feel like I was getting to the point where I was semi-comfortable speaking in Spanish when I was in the class. But by the time a whole semester had gone after I had taken the class, I felt like I knew nothing. I had forgotten everything in that short amount of time. So I think that it would make it easier for me to go back and learn the language if I just like went and attempted to learn. But I feel like if I do, I need to find someone to like speak it with. There's a couple other languages that I would be really interested in learning. Like I really want to learn French, and you guys have made me really want to learn like Dutch and German. Those would be interesting languages to learn, and then I could speak with them with you guys. But I need to settle down and pick some hobbies. Right now, all I really do is like the blacksmithing stuff, and then I also do like video games. So I need to put some of that gaming time to use. I've thrown out the idea of a small bat roost here to my fiance. Not sure our HOA would approve. I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I kind of feel like HOAs would look at a bat house and be like, "You have brought the bats here. Fine. All the fines." And it's like, "No, I didn't bring the bats here. They were already here. I just gave them a place to be." All right, we're gonna do another heat. HOAs suck. They do. They do. I could not do what I do here if I was under an HOA. Too much noise. But here, nobody cares. Nobody cares what Ray does. All right, look at that. We've got quite the gap going there. Haha. And that, my dears, is exactly what I wanted to see. Now that I have this open enough that we can start working on the butt end of the anvil, we should be able to get the angles that I'm looking for so that I can start thinning out this section right here. So that's super exciting. We're going to get a little bit more work done for in our next few heats. I think, I hope. Maybe not. We'll see. It is our backyard. As long as they can't see it from the street, they usually say nothing. Oh, it is in our backyard. Yeah. Well, bats are protected in Europe, so HOAs can stand on their head once a bat colony is moved, and everything else will have to move. Even one bat is enough. I believe that's the same here in Florida. Yeah, there are certain species of bats that are really endangered, and you've got to kind of take care of them. But it's like really difficult to maintain bats too, because all of the pesticides and things. And then there's also like a lot of areas where they spray for bugs, and that's what the bats eat. So it makes it really hard for them to feed. Welcome in, Yankee. Bats are hard. I see them at night here often. Awesome. Yeah, we were talking about bats. They're adorable. King is putting up a bat nest in his backyard. So, King, if you put in the bat nest, are you going to stream at night so we can see the bats? Or maybe not at night, but like at dusk and dawn, so we can see the bats. Or is that not why you're putting the box there? Totally adorbs. Oh, sweet. Well, that's why we use almost no pesticides in Europe. We have other ways to combat bugs. Yeah, I wish that, like, every time it comes up for a vote in the neighborhoods that I've lived in, I've always voted down the pesticides because it's like, you never know what chemicals are going to do to even the humans, pets, humans, and other wildlife that needs to survive. But people don't like bugs, so they just keep spraying. You got to be careful because their excrement will make metal rust fast. Will it? I'll bet it's acidic. They would get fat here. We live next to a state wetland. No houses besides us will ever be built. That makes sense. If you are combating bugs, you are doing it wrong, right? All right, Bluesy. Have a good sleep. We'll see you later. Rest well. I sure didn't last night. Thanks for joining us. I wish snakes were more prevalent here. we actually live right next to a bunch of fields. And so we get a lot of snakes and mice and like I think salamanders is what they are. They're like little lizards and or no, they're skinks. They're blue-tailed skinks because they have their little blue tails. My cat goes crazy for them. So every once in a while, I'll find a little blue tail on the floor in the house because they were running around and stuff. Those are pretty. I think their tails are pretty. They've got those bright blue and it's kind of iridescent and stuff. They are so pretty. I love them. I when I was a kid, I used to try and catch them, like those and little toads, just to catch them all the time, like just carry them around. I kind of, they always peed on me, but if I was picked up by a giant hand that's like 100 times my size, I'd probably pee too. We only have vipers here and a ring snake, sadly fairly poisonous. Ooh. Gotta be careful around poisonous snakes. So we are coming up on another ad. Once that ad is done, we'll do another heat. Like I said, I'm going to continue attempting to open this up a little bit. I want to create like a V shape like so that we can kind of thin out those arms. I screwed up by not thinning out the area that I wanted to bend or to fold over. And that was my major setback from Friday. So I'm going to see if I can't try and fix that. I've done a lot of grinding to kind of start that process. Ordinarily, I would never do that because losing material is not something that I want to happen. I want to have as much material as I possibly can to shape it. I am going to flip my clips here shortly. And there we go. But yeah, I want to keep. Ordinarily, I want to keep as much material as possible, but by the end of Friday, we had started ripping the steel as it folded, and so I want to make sure that the rip stops. So I had to grind down past the rip so that I can kind of start controlling that area a little bit more. Whenever I go to Florida, I love seeing the lizards. I want a legless lizard, but that's not a snake. No, not a snake. Legless lizard. I would ask some more about it, but I also don't want you to delay going to bed because I've asked you a question. So, Lucy, you have a good night's sleep. Let's see. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time, once I've opened this into that U shape or the V shape that I'm looking for, I'm going to spend some time over here on the horn of the anvil, using the backside, the cross beam section of my hammer to kind of thin out that section. At least that's the goal, anyway. Yes, the legless lizard, the slow worm, Annalius fragilis, is found in Belgium. It is often mistaken for a snake, but it is a legless lizard that can shed its tail to escape predators and has functional eyelids, unlike snakes. The slow worm is also known by other regional names such as bindworm and hazelworm. Interesting. I wonder if worm in those cases is referring to like dragon worms or dragonkin type worms where they don't have arms, they only have wings. That would be an interesting like thing to look up. So we have our ad going right now, and so I'm going to delay my heat until after that ad is over. So I'm going to take a little bit of a breather. Time has been flying by today. Crazy fast. I kind of feel like I started the stream a little bit on the slow side. We're already at our like third ad. So, that initial ad, and then we're already at maybe an hour, I think. It looks like. Yes, an hour. You know what? I forgot to pull up my Twitch activity feed. So looks like I did not, or I haven't seen any activity, but I don't want to miss it if it happens. So, all right, let's do another heat. LED upgrade. Yes, I have an LED upgrade. Jet Pink, welcome in. Welcome to the stream. All right. So I am gonna. We're still trying to open up this piece a little bit further. So I can kind of use the horn so that I can use the horn to thin out these areas right here. I'm getting distracted, man. Alright, so I think I'm going to put this back in the heat. We'll open it a little bit more. Probably on the horn, that means I'm going to need to hold this with a different set of tongs. So yeah, I have, I made the raised part of the raised smithy sign. This is a project that I've kind of been talking about doing for quite some time, but it's taken me also quite some time to actually get it to happen. And I was finally able to do it last weekend, or like finish it up, I guess, last weekend, or not last weekend, the weekend before last. And so there is a video on how I made that up on my YouTube channel. By the same name, there is a link for that on the channel page. Also, the Nightbot is constantly posting the link to that. But yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty. There's different colors. You know what I forgot to do? I was going to add a points redeem to change what pattern it does. I still don't have a way to like hook it up to the Twitch, in order for you guys to change the color yourself, but you can totally redeem it, and then I can manually transfer it. So inside that LED is inside that sign is a little strip of LEDs like this. So this blue side is like the sticky side. You pull this blue tape off, and then it'll stick into or onto whatever you want. So it's kind of sticking onto the sides of that metal box that I kind of created. So I have all of these extra LEDs that, you know, I could have gone around it twice, but it didn't really want to sit in there right, so I kind of cut it off. They're the extra off. But I think it looks really nice. There is a chance that sometime in the future, if I get a hold of a CNC cutter, I might redo it because it's a little bit shaky since I hand cut it with a jigsaw. But the goal was to, you know, get the sign up as fast as possible. It's also made of chromed stainless steel, and the reason that chrome stainless steel is so difficult to work with is because if you heat it up, it will create a noxious gas, and if you inhale it, you can get really, really ill. And the problem with chrome is that unlike zinc, the more chrome that you inhale, it kind of hangs in your body, and it just never leaves. So the more you build up in your system, the worse off you get. So you got to be really, really careful with chrome. Also with zinc, but at least with zinc, you know, you'll get violently ill for a little while, but it will leave your body over time. So you'll only be ill for so long. With chrome, it just builds up and builds up. So you got to be careful with that. Don't heat it up to a point where the chrome starts vaporizing. So no plasma torch, no oxyacetylene torch. It's got to be water jet. All right, let's do another heat. Now we're going to be a good piece of steel, and maybe not. Goodness gracious, I'm not so hot at this today. All right, we're starting to get up wide enough. There we go. That's better. You can see it's starting to widen out now. That's what I want to see. So I want to take this over to the anvil and start working on this section, or I mean the horn, and start working on this section right here. But that also means I got to figure out what I can hold this with. These aren't amazingly good either. Come up with something else to hold them with. Forbidden paperclip. Are we talking about this guy right here? Or are we talking about the axe casing that I'm working with that's like I'm doing a terrible job with? I think I might try these guys. These might work. Or maybe these might work. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing right now. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm just kind of like trying to make it work the way I want it to, and I don't know how, so I guess I'm just playing at this point. Yeah, so what I'm trying to make is an axe, right? So there are two types of axes that you can kind of make. The first one is a punched axe, where you start with a brick of steel and you take a punch, which is similar to one of these guys right here. This is a hammer punch, so you can definitely tell because this has an oval punch on the end of it. An axe actually has a teardrop shaped hole that you can punch into it. So this is a punch, and so if I were, or you can punch an axe using an axe eye punch, but this one is a folded axe. So you start with a long strip and you kind of fold it in half and forge weld both halves together. So we are going to be forge welding a bit inside here of high carbon steel. This is 4140 is what this is, and that is a mid carbon steel. It's very good for shock absorbency, but it's less good for holding an edge. And so that's why we're putting a high carbon steel bit inside there so that we can keep a nice sharp edge. But yeah, we are trying to make an axe. We're probably not doing a good job of it, but I'm learning. And I know what I'm not going to do next time I want to make an axe. So yes. You know what I forgot to do today? I forgot to modify the end screen. So I apologize to those of you who have donated over the past couple days, specifically Friday and Wednesday. I have not updated that end screen. I need to do that. So I apologize. My brain is a little bit airy today. So I'm not thinking very linearly. It's probably hard to. I think it's hard for me to follow what I'm doing, but I hope you guys can understand. Let's see. We'll try these first, and then those after. I have like 6 pairs of tongs out right now, and none of them seem to be working the way I want them to. Always the best. I need fire to play with. Well, you know, I always say that playing with fire is a fun activity. However, do remember that, you know, I am a professional. I do this for a living. Try not, or don't do this at home alone. My best advice for any new blacksmiths or aspiring blacksmiths is take a look at the Abana website, the abana.com, Abana. And they have a find a blacksmith and a find an affiliate page. So you can put your zip code in, and or your mailing code in, and it will find the closest blacksmith and affiliate to you. So my advice is to attend a meeting, learn, or meet some blacksmiths that can help you out getting started. That way you can kind of get a handle for what you like about blacksmithing, if you like blacksmithing, and get safety instructions and things like that. Because a gas forge like this, if you don't know what you're doing, you can definitely turn it into a pipe bomb if you use it incredibly wrong. So learn the safety measures that you need in order to save yourself a big headache. And so yes, go to Abana and find an affiliate. I will say though that coal forges are a lot safer. You are much less likely to injure yourself, cause large proper amount of physical and property damage by misusing a coal forge. So if you want to start and you just don't want to meet any blacksmiths or get any help, if you just can't use a coal forge, still have a high chance of cutting yourself, burning yourself, or causing some issues if you don't know what you're doing, but it's still a little bit safer. Alright. Another heat. See if I can get this out of here without causing myself issues. Alright, I need to hold this like so. Alright. More heat, more heat. I don't know why, but this kind of reminds me of like a hat or a bell or something at this point. Not too bad. It looks like there is a little bit of marking from when I was hammering directly over top of the anvil face, but it's just like a little bit of like scale or something. That was weird. My exterior light turned on right outside of the garage. Where I can see it. I'm not sure why it turned on. That's weird. There's nothing out there. So earlier today, there was an ambulance across the street, so that's never good. I was kind of curious about what was going on because at first it was just a cop car, and it's relatively unusual for a cop car to just like sit on our street because I live on a relatively busy street. People were having to like go around them into the lane or like the oncoming lane. We've got like a really busy road. Like we get 4 to 5 cars a minute coming in both different directions. So it was really unusual. And then what made it more unusual is that after the cop car, an ambulance showed up. So I was kind of like, are you just in the neighborhood or was there some foul play already or something like that? So I was kind of looky-loo about it, but I'm also like, I never figured out what it was. So I don't know. Hey, Mahalo. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us today. Today's kind of a low intensity day. I'm really trying to unfold the axe so I can kind of thin it up closer to the center area. But I'm still kind of struggling to kind of open the piece. And so I haven't made a lot of progress in the hour and however long that we've been streaming today. So, yeah. I'm still a little run down from Friday and then this weekend's activities. So, I'm probably not, or my brain is probably not firing on all 6 cylinders, but we're getting there slowly but surely. So Mahalo, you said, "Hey, Smithies." Is that my is that chat's like the overall chat's name? Smithies. I could totally see that. That would be a fun name for chat. I know a lot of streamers like they kind of name their chat and they just have like a name for it. I guess I just didn't realize that that was something that that like this genre could have. So I don't know. Do you guys need a name? It could be. I think it would be a good name for you guys. You know, Smithies. I like having Smiths or other Smiths in the chat. So you know, I we can you guys could be the Smithies. And then that also gives our raise Smithy sign a new like a new meaning, right? Because then you guys would be my Smithies, or maybe you don't want to be my Smithies. I don't know. Different different things to think about. I mean, some of us are Smiths. Yes. I am glad when Smithies come into chat because you guys have opinions and experiences that you guys can share. And if I'm not able to answer a question, you guys are there. If I need advice myself, you guys are there. I really like that. I enjoy that. I am not infallible. All right, let's see if I can't stick this over top of this horn and actually start, you know, thinning it out like I want. Seems to be working relatively well. I need to start hammering right here though, because it's a little bit thick here still. We're getting a little bit of thinning on that side, but I wanna get right in there. So we've got our weird trapezoid going on there, and I wanna fold it all around so that it's a little bit more even. The bad part about hammering over the horn like that, though, is that the anvil tends to start twisting. So I have to make sure that I twist it back so it doesn't go like 90 degrees on me. I'm always available if you need to bounce thoughts or ideas off of someone. I know. I know. You guys are really good about that. And you specifically, Corwin, you're really good about that. I have this whole stubborn streak where I want to figure out as much as I possibly can on my own, and I am less likely to ask for advice unless I desperately need it. So I kind of feel like I'm a little bit, you know, I almost feel like I need you guys to like tell me any advice you have. Um, yeah. Unsolicited advice, a little bit. I still appreciate it as long as it is delivered with consideration and respect. You know, I don't want to hear, disrespectful things because, that's not cool. But, I'm always up for hearing advice or tips or anything that you guys have. As long as, like I said, as long as it's delivered respectfully. Because that's what we're all here for, right? Is learning. Oh, we got an ad break. The ad break starts in 3 minutes. Mahalo, I'm like the nerd sitting in front of the class blurting stuff out. Yes. Yes. I like sitting in the front row with, like, my glasses on, but I feel like you guys think I'm the teacher. And I probably am the teacher, but I don't feel like I'm the teacher, half the time. Maybe I'm the teacher's assistant or the substitute teacher. I learn too. I have an idea of how things are supposed to go, but I'm not always like, I don't always have the exact answer, so I have to look up a lot of stuff. Same, kinda. So yeah, I mean, go for it. Blurt out the answers or, whatever. I'm here for it. Except I'm not even good at this class. That's alright. I love the enthusiasm. And, if there aren't enough students in a class, oftentimes, oh, that's my partner. They scared the daylights out of me. They just came walking around the vehicle, and yeah. Anyway. So where was I going with that? I forgot. Being startled does that to you. Oh, I was gonna say, oftentimes when you are a college professor, especially if you're an adjunct professor, if there aren't enough students who enroll in your class, the class gets canceled. So I need you guys here, whether you're good at the class or not. That's what I was trying to say. So we should be getting an ad here shortly. Did I get a piece of? I don't know. So we should be getting an ad here shortly. How long is it going to be? 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds till the next ad. So once that ad is done, I will do our next heat. And we're actually going to start making more progress because we are going to be thinning out those leads. Trying to make them as long as possible. I don't know how well it will work or not work, but we're going to try it. So it's looking like this project is going to take another day at the very, very least. So we will continue working today, and then we will continue trying to thin this out and get it ready, or get the axe ready for forge welding so that we can do that this weekend. I'm hoping that by the end of Wednesday, we will be done and ready to start our new project on Friday. But every time I say that, another day happens, or I have to cancel or something. So it could be Friday, it could be Monday. But one of the two of those days, we will be starting our hot cut on, or for the party. A piece of metal, always a blast. The problem is that as I'm allowing more heat, we get more scale, and then when I hammer on the scale, it just starts jumping, and then it hits me in the face, and it hits me in the arms. If you are afraid of getting injured, you probably don't want to be a blacksmith. plenty of heat for our next, or once this ad is over. I'm gonna flip the clips on the cameras before that happens, though. Looks like I picked a good time for that because the tight camera had run out of time. I only missed about 2 minutes though, so that's good. I'm getting a little bit better about flipping my clips. A little bit. Alright. So the ad will be done shortly. Alrighty. So I've moved it so that the horn is in the middle there. For the unexperienced, forge scale feels like bacon grease spattering and hitting you. Yeah, sometimes. I think that would be the closest thing I can imagine to it, at least. Definitely the closest thing. I knew that was going to happen. Just knew. That's alright though. Alright, now we're going to start on the other side a little bit. Alright, I'm going to put this back in the forge. What I want to do next is start working on this side. I want to kind of close that in, make that a little bit thinner, because we've got a really wide back, or like of where the handle for this is going to be. I want to be able to like squish that in. So we're going to be upsetting the center area. Or maybe I suck at cooking bacon. See, I always spatter bacon grease too. You know, every time I'm cooking bacon. I don't do it a lot. I used to cook a lot more than I cook now. Most of our cooking is done by my partner because before I became a full-time blacksmith or jeweler, I actually did a lot of food service jobs, so I was a cook for a very long time. And I just got to this point where I was a cook, and so I just did not want to have to cook when I got home, I guess. Maybe that wasn't fair, but, you know, I don't know. Wincing19, thank you so much for that follow. It looks like I missed that about 9 minutes ago, so thank you so much for that follow. I have a fan that is actually going on my capture card, and it was like obscuring my screen a little bit. I didn't see that. Thank you so much for joining the community. We're kind of doing a low-key stream today because Friday's stream was pretty intense. We were using the coal forge, and it was my birthday, and we were kind of floundering a bit. So we're still floundering a little bit, but I think it's a little bit more low-key floundering, if that makes sense. We're learning, we're growing, and I definitely know what I'm not going to do next time I make a folded axe. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a hammer-backed axe for a punched axe. that way, you know, I've got that nice wrap that I'm going to be able to do. I think I made my design a little bit overly complex, and that is my big problem. I have this tendency to like pick the most complicated versions of a project that I can think of, just so that I run into every problem that I could possibly run into. And that way I learn the most. Sometimes it helps um, solidify that learning, but a lot of times I just go through a whole bunch of stuff that I shouldn't have to go through, or, you know, that I'm not ready to go through. And I think this is one of those times. Burnout is a real thing. Yes, I kind of did burn out of cooking. And really, though, I'm not like a chef either, right? So I didn't go to school for cooking. I didn't really like cooking necessarily, or, you know, I was pretty neutral on it when I got that job. And so I spent like 35 to 39 hours a week cooking, and, you know, fast, speedy cooking. So it's just, you know, because I mean, it's a restaurant. It was a busy restaurant. So I guess I just didn't want to cook after that for a while. I think now I could probably go back to cooking. It's been probably about 10 years, probably more actually. So I think I could probably go back to cooking if I could stay on my feet that long. Cooking is hard work. All right, let's do another heat. I think I put this in here the right way around. I hope. All right, so we're starting to get there. We're thinning this out a little bit. I'm thinking, let's see. I want to go a couple more heats on that to try and kind of thin that out a little bit further, and then we'll probably start folding that over again. I really want to work on that. Man, the anvil's really jumping. There we go. Starting to look better. See, I think it is too. I think we're getting close to the point where I can fold it back over and it'll thin out and upset that block in the back. The other thing that I decided that I can do, and we won't be doing this until Wednesday, I think, is that we're going to come back over to the press. And after it's folded over, we're going to kind of upset it down, or I guess not even upset it. We're going to kind of draw it out a little bit. So right now we've got a really thick axe. On the back it's about yay thick. I want to thin it out probably closer to this, so that it's actually closer to like more like a ball peen, maybe a little bit bigger than this. But that's also going to lengthen out that axe. So we're gonna probably start running it through the the press on Wednesday to kind of, like I said, draw that out, even the sides. And I think that's going to help us quite a bit. Arm is getting stronger. Landed some good hits, and the anvil is feeling it. Yes. So, yeah, I'm getting a lot stronger now that, we've been streaming for so long. We've been streaming for about 8 months together, and it's so helping. I'm getting a lot more stamina and a lot more of my strength back. And so, yeah, the anvil is jumping because I've got some, some power behind those blows. Finally, it's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that I've got more muscle tone in my abdominals. I was pretty flabby for a while, and it's starting to tighten up again. The ray guns are working. Yes. It's funny. I didn't think about that word that way. I have my gamer tag is ray gun. It's spelled Raegun, right? Like a ray gun. Or my name and then a gun. Because like I'm a ray gun pew pew, right? Well, I didn't think about the guns when I made that gamer tag, but it works. All right, I'm gonna do another heat. Oh, is it still in frame? I think it's in frame. Let's shove it this way a little bit. I gotta be careful around that tip because that tip is starting to get a little bit on the hot side. As we continue working. We are starting to get a lot better on that. So I'm going to actually hang on to it this direction and start working over here on this side. But we're going to heat that up first. But yeah, we're starting to get some pretty decent amount of work there. We've really thinned it out. Welcome in, Jack. Ahoy. Welcome to the stream. We are still trying to fix the issues that we were having on Friday. I spent a lot of time last night really thinking hard about if there was a way that I could fix the issues and the errors that I made really early in the process of forging this axe. My major issue is that I left too much of my material thick, and I tried to fold it over when the steel was too thick. So we're trying to unfold it a little bit and thin out the area so that we can kind of refold it and have a nicer rounded area. At least that's the goal. Whether it works or not, who knows? But we're going to try anyway. And boy, do I know that the next time I make a folded axe, I'm not going to leave myself a hammerhead on the other side of it. That was my number one error in design. Make sense. Yeah. I think I got a little bit too fancy of a design, and I think that or I should have just stuck with the simple solution is always the most elegant, and saved the hammer back end for a punched piece of, or a punched axe. Need a fullering tool. Yes, I do. I definitely do. I have like the fullering dies for my press, but I don't think in this case they're going to work because they're a little bit too thin. And I've got the steel is kind of like this, so it's actually relatively tall. So I've been using the horn of the anvil, and it's less efficient than if I were to be able to use a fullering tool or the fullering dies on the press. But it's what I'm doing at the moment. Slowly but surely we'll make it happen. Niles Ogren and Black Bear Forge did set downs to separate the pole from the cheeks and blade sections. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that. And I am planning on doing something like that. What I want to do is I want to take the rounded section of my combo dies and kind of draw out the area that I want the pole or like the handle to go in. That way I'm hoping that it'll make it a little bit longer. But I don't know. Like I said, I think I really screwed up by putting or designing a hammer on the opposite end. We shall see what happens if I can miraculously, save this piece. If you ever want someone's ideas to bounce off of, I'm available in Discord. Yeah, I know. A lot of people. There are so many people around in the Discord, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys. But I also have this whole like. I'm very stubborn. I feel like I want to do things my own way, and then I never ask until I'm like desperate for help. So, and that is one of my personal flaws. It's something that I should probably get better at. I get that. No pressure. Yeah, I really need to get better at that, But, I design things with the best of intentions, and I have a plan going in, but it's not always the most sound plan, and that's my issue, All right, we're gonna do another heat. My anvil's jumping, and so it keeps moving on me. But I've been working the horn, so it's kind of warm, and I don't want to touch it. All right. All right. I think we need to work on this side next. Or no, this side next. So we're going to put this in this direction. We're going to start working on that side. And then I think I want to start working on it like this so that I can kind of start closing this over the horn. We're getting there. We're getting close. I think. I'm like that sometimes. I think everybody's like that sometimes, I know, I've got it. I don't need help, and you desperately do. Spatsman500, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the community. We're kind of on a low-key stream today. I'm a little bit tired from Friday. We did some really crazy stuff, made a couple huge mistakes, and I've kind of taken the weekend to kind of reassess what we're doing, and, you know, we're trying to fix it. It's gonna happen. I know it will. I'm not worried, but, you know, we live, we learn. Hi, hi. Ooh, Tiff McAwesome or Tough McAwesome. Thank you so much for that follow. We have reached our, what is it, 280 follower count? That is awesome. We are growing so fast, guys. Over the past month, we've probably grown almost 30 people. This is crazy. Thank you guys so much for joining the community and for all of your support. I am so grateful for everything that you guys do. Whether you are a subscriber, just a viewer, or if you are a follower, thank you guys so much. All of your support means so much to me. I mean, why would I do this if not for you guys, you know? So thank you so, so much. We're getting really close to 300. I'm really excited. Really excited. What made you decide to become an NPC? Start blacksmithing. That is quite the emote. So I have always been really interested in art, and I got really into clay when I was like in high school. And so when I went to college, I kind of wanted to become, or my goal and my dream was to make comic book and anime statues, like, you know, to sculpt them so that, you know, all my statues would be the ones that you see on the shelves of comic book stores. And so when I went to school for sculpture, we had to take a whole bunch of overview classes. In one of those overview classes, we had to learn how to weld. And I fell in love with welding and metal and fabrication. And over the years, when I was fabricating and welding and making things and sculpting, I ran into blacksmithing. And it has been a beautiful and amazing thing that I learned to do. And originally, I learned to do it as an extension of fabrication. And the more I got into blacksmithing, the more I just kind of mostly did blacksmithing. I am also a journeyman jeweler. I double majored in sculpture and silversmithing in college, so I can raise silver vessels and I work with gold. I've done a lot of casting in my time, so metal is kind of my special interest. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. It also helped that I had an ex-boyfriend who was a blacksmith and kind of got me into it a little bit. I didn't get really, really into it until after we had broken up, but you know. Do you fab from raw materials or you do any found materials art? I do a little bit of both. Most of my fabrication I do with stock. I do round stock, I do bar stock. This axe, we started with a section of this piece of 4140. It was, or this is about an inch and a half diameter round. 4140. That is imperial standard measurements. And at one point I did have the conversion math for metric, but I don't remember what it was. Um, I think probably close to 5 centimeters in diameter. I could be completely off base. I'm really bad at conversion math, but it's hard to buy stock in metric measurements. Imperial is fine by me. Awesome. Well, United States. All right, I am going to do another heat. Oh, I was really off base. 2.54 centimeters. Oh, per inch. So an inch and a half, that would have put us at like almost 3. You know what? There's an ad that's going to start. So I'm going to delay this heat. I was about to do another heat, but I'm going to wait until after the ad so everybody can see what's going on with it. Normally I try and wait until our ads are over so that everybody can see whether they are subscribers or not. But I am going to take a look and make sure that I flip my flips. We're getting close to that half-hour mark. We're also getting closer towards the end of the stream. I'm really, really going to need that rest at the end of today. Like I said earlier today, it has been an insanely busy weekend. All right. Let's see. We are at the 2-hour mark, so I got about half an hour. We've got some time. Plenty of time. So I believe we're actually in. Are we within the ads or not yet? Not yet. We've got about a minute and 30 seconds to our ads. $2.54. Oh, I already read that comment. Man, like I said, it's been crazy this weekend. Friday we did that giant birthday stream, and then Saturday I just really didn't do much at all. I could barely get up. It was intense on Friday. So then on Saturday we worked on the van for quite some time, and today I picked up propane. I did a whole bunch of grinding here in the shop. I cleaned up and I reset up the set for our shop. Everything we had moved out to the carport, so we had to move it all back in here. Hey, Boston, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us today. So yeah, I'm a little bit tired. I think my brain is working a little bit slow today, so it took me quite a while to get to the point where I was even able to open this axe up. I don't know. I had considered postponing the stream, until Wednesday, but I just, I wanted to spend some time with you guys, I wished you a happy birthday on Instagram, but I don't know if you saw it. Well, thank you for wishing me happy birthday. I'm not amazingly good with Instagram. I try to be, but I'm really bad at remembering. So thank you for wishing me happy birthday. I will take a look at that deliberately once the stream is over. That way I can thank you on Instagram. Yay! Or maybe I should do it now because then I won't forget. I've got a little bit of time on my head. Instagrams. I don't see it. Maybe I do. Oh, there it is. I found it. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I'm really bad at Instagram. Really bad. I'm out of juice. Or I guess Gatorade. That's what it is. It was Gatorade. What is that? It was a notification. I bet you it was like a weather notification. No, it was a Facebook notification. Alright, guys. It looks like the ads are over, so I am going to do another heat. Let's do this. So once again, this will be our last, you know what? I forgot to change the cameras. This will be our last thinning heat before I really start trying to shape this a little bit. Or at least I think it's going to be my last. I say it's my last, and then it probably isn't because, you know, I'm not amazingly good at predicting things. But I do my best. Alright. So now I'm going to turn this around like so. There's this weird little line that's forming. So I'm going to try and like hammer that out a little bit. Alright. I think for our next heat, we are going to hammer this over the anvil. I'm just going to hold it up just like so, and we're going to start hammering this direction. That way we can kind of start closing it. We will be hammering from this direction and then turning it around this direction so that we can kind of close it evenly. Hammer and anvil. That's what we do around here. All blacksmithing all the time. Well, not all the time, because I mean, I have done some fabrication on the stream before. Excuse me. There we go. Every time I work on the heel or the horn, the anvil starts walking around the floor. And the tiles underneath this area are a little bit loose, so they kind of get crushed up in like a little powder. It's kind of weird. I don't know how far it's going to go. I hope there's like cement or something under the tiles. You never know. I think, you know, if it gets to a point, I'll just patch over it. But yeah. I'm really glad that I didn't cancel today's stream. As tired as I am, I'm just glad to be here and talking to you guys and blacksmithing. It's just, you get to a point where it's really relaxing, you know? Friday was a little bit stressful, but I really, it was the having to tend to the fire. That tends to be a little bit stressful for me. I enjoy using the gas forge so much more. I don't have to worry about the decarburization or melting my steel. It's just so much more relaxing. I'm thinking at this point. Thinking is a dangerous skill to have, is thinking. Or can be. So I want to start this fold over the horn. because really what I've got is the bottom of our fold is very straight, and I kind of want to curve that out. So I want to use the curve of the horn to do so. I think that it is a little bit too heavy of a blow that I'm going to be used, so I can't use the 90-degree angle horn. I think that would probably be bad. So I think that we're going to use this horn, and we're going to try and round out the under area of this fold. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to do my best. I think I might move this because I think it's actually on the horn. That's my fan. I have an industrial fan in here so that I keep cool. It's relatively cool outside. It's like in the upper 70s, but with the gas forge, it starts getting hot. So I try and keep the industrial fan on. Welcome in, Sandwich. Good evening. Better late than never. A longer phone call. Well, I'm glad to see you now. Yeah, sometimes people have a lot to say, and so the phone calls end up pretty long. But we're glad to see you here anyway. I kind of figured or I kind of wanted it to be like kind of a lower key, lower, attended stream today, just because I don't feel like I have quite the energy as I normally do. So I still had fun, but it was less exciting and exuberant than normal. All right, let's try this. It is over the center. Good. All right. Not what I wanted to do. Now I gotta figure out which direction that was. Okay, it was this direction. So I need to go this direction, I think. I hope. Alright, we're gonna heat this back up. And we are gonna continue to try and round out this section right here. Because it's pretty darn flat. Goodness gracious. I'm making a mess. A mess. So it's looking like it's going to take another day to kind of get this guy ready for this weekend when I'm able to forge weld it. I know for sure that I'm not going to have the ability to do a full stream of forge welding this axe. So it won't really have a lot of I won't have time to stream it, but I will video it so that you guys can kind of see what I'm up to. I will edit it and we'll do a watch along for it. So look forward to that. Alrighty. I think I'm going to do 2 more heats and then we're going to raid off. I'm starting to get a little bit on the tired side and it's starting to get a little bit late. We've got about 15 minutes left in our stream. So it looks like we've got 18 minutes before the next ad starts. We've got plenty of time. I think we're going to end before that ad starts, so I shouldn't have to delay it. But if it gets to that point, I will delay it. That way you guys don't have to watch one last ad before rating off. It's kind of not fair if I ask you to watch one last ad, especially if I rate you off to somebody who has like an immediate ad. That's kind of lame. So we'll see what we can do. So 2 more heats, and then we'll rate off. So if there's anybody that you would like to rate, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll look through our friends list, see if there's anybody who is still streaming, or maybe we'll find someone new. Lately, we have been rating Miramac Mud, who is a potter and has been working on some shelves and some glazing and some pretty pots. So we'll see who is online. Looks like I'm going to be ending the stream relatively well timed because our forge is starting to get a little bit cooler, which means that the bottom of the propane is starting to freeze up. So if we went too much longer, I'd have to change the propane tank. So timing is pretty good this time. Alrighty, so we will be doing our first of 2 last heats. If I can pull this out of here, that is. Goodness gracious, this board is flying around. Alright, so we're going to do 1 more heat of that. We've got a little bit of curving starting to show up there, and that's exactly what I want to see. So let's see if I can't move this anvil this direction a little bit. The anvil is begging for mercy. Yeah, I mean, I am using a pretty big piece of steel on it. So, but honestly, I don't have a very wide anvil base. I just kind of have a bunch of 4x4s. I have 3 4x4s, so I guess it's 12 feet or 12 inches by 12 inches ish. As the base, so it's not like a wide base. If I had a wider based anvil, it wouldn't tip as much when I put pressure on the horn and the heel, but I don't usually use a lot of horn and heel. Most of my pressure comes in that central column of the plate, and so I do have a wider base anvil stand on the other anvil out in the carport. I just don't use it a lot. But yeah. So I think I'm going to put all of these guys away. I brought out a lot of tongs today, because I wasn't sure which ones I was going to use. But those ones seem to be working quite well. Agent Smithy, what's up? Hello. Tanner M, Welcome to the stream. Hello. We are just finishing up, actually. Um, we've got one more heat left, and then we will be raiding off. Um, but yeah, I am here on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, U.S. Standard Time, and so now that we are ending now, but I will be back on Wednesday. So I hope to see you guys then. Alrighty. So we are going to run that last heat. So one more heat. One more heat. Alrighty, guys. That's all she wrote for now. And I dropped my steel. Alright. So this is where we are right now. We are going to kind of try and fold that a little bit more on Wednesday. I want to round out that base. It's kind of squared off, but we'll round it out a little bit. And then from there, we're kind of going to put this through the press this direction and kind of thin out this area right here. So that is what we have in store for Wednesday. So I hope to see you then. And thank you all for joining me today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. You guys have been amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining me. Alright. Who's around for raid? Let's see. Looks like Miramac Mud is around, so let's raid them. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on Wednesday.